Shalom and welcome to Practical Spirituality here at Eshet Torah in the Old City of Jerusalem overlooking the Temple Mount. Today is the first day of the month of Adar. It's really Adar Bet, it's the second Adar. And we're going to be moving in over the next 2 weeks towards Purim. Purim will be 2 weeks from now. It'll be on a Friday for Jerusalem, Thursday and the rest of the world. It's a very special Purim in Jerusalem because it rolls seamlessly into Shabbat. And the problem is you need to designate someone to take the things out of your pockets that do not belong in your pockets on Shabbat, like cell phones and stuff like that, and money and all that stuff. So yeah, just designate someone who's somewhat sober to make sure that your clothing does not contain things that are forbidden to be carried on Shabbos. But anyway, it moves seamlessly into Shabbos, which makes it really the highest Shabbos of the year. It's like a really fun Shabbos to go from Purim into Shabbos. Now, of course, if you're a Litvak, you're gonna treat, no offense to Litvaks, but you're gonna treat Purim as if like I guess we'll party next year, and you'll like, I don't know, you start drinking like after Shachris or something like. If I drank after Shachris, I'd probably wind up beating somebody or something like within an hour, because like I just could not do that. But I think they drink after Shachris, and then they like wash when they get home, and then they like kind of keep it mellow because you don't want to be drunk going into Shabbos, and you got to get Shabbos ready, all that. But the Hasidim just party straight through, meaning we don't even bench. We switch the tablecloth. You know, we make kiddush in the middle of the Purim party. You know, and we make kiddush. And again, I can't say this for all Hasidim. This is more of a Jerusalem custom, but we just make kiddush in the middle of the Purim party. Like once it's dark enough, we make kiddush, and then we just keep partying. And you're not allowed to do Shmoneh Esrei drunk anyway, so we usually do Shmoneh Esrei like, yeah, we daven later. We daven at like midnight or something, 1. You know, when we finally like got our acts together, we finally, you know, we're like sober enough to pray. That's later. This year, I kind of had a goal to pray at the right time. Even though we weren't going to bench yet, we were just going to take a break to pray and then come back to the party. But I can't decide. I mean, either way, we're for sure going to spill out into some crazy Karlibach, Lechadoidi, but to do Shmoneh Esrei is dubious. I don't know if we'll be sober enough. Now, of course, the halacha, the law, Jewish law of not davening when you're that trashed, can only be kept when you're sober. So the likelihood that a lot of people will be praying completely wasted is high because they're too high to distinguish the halacha anyway. So, and it's interesting, the whole halacha in Purim altogether. I mean, halachas do change on Purim. For example, like if you came over to someone's house and you totally trashed their house, you know, you got drunk and trashed their house, are you liable for trashing their house? Are you allowed to say, sorry, I was drunk, man, I'm off the hook? You're allowed to say that to someone, go trash their house and say they're off the hook? Well, guess what? If it's Purim, you're off the hook. Now, I don't know if I want to tell too many people that before they come to my house, but yeah, on Purim, if it's Purim and you're drunk or you trash their house, you're off the hook.
What's the time period one can do that?
Excellent question.
I don't plan on doing that.
Excellent question. I don't know. What is that time period?
You won't be invited next year, though.
Right. I am almost positive it would have to be after midday. It would have to be after Chatzos, because you have to have the Purim Suda. No, I guess after Shachris you could really start your Purim Suda. So I guess anytime after Nate's, when people first daven Shachris, because anyone can start a Suda then. So if that Suda, you're supposed to get drunk until they bench. Yeah, from after Shachris
no, but
to
those,
bench.
like you said, Jerusalem, they continue the party into Shabbos. So
Yeah, if the guy trashed your house on Shabbos, he's not liable.
Shkia, then it's already, you don't have the Purim suit.
No, if you wash before sundown, you're still in Purim.
Yeah, you can take it all the way to Shusha, like till 3 days later.
Yeah. Good luck. And that's a lot of drunken days. But we do that. We actually have 3, we have 3 drunken days in Jerusalem. This year, Purim's landing on Friday. If Purim lands on Saturday, then it's 3 straight drunken days in a row. Because you have to party Friday.
It's like New Year's.
Because Friday, we do some of the mitzvahs. Then Shabbos day, we have to party. And Sunday's the real drunken party. So you got 3 days of drinking. If it lands on Shabbos, it's called Purim Meshulash. Shulash, like shalosh. Purim Meshulash. And it goes in years of 10. I think we're finishing the years of 10 where it hits Fridays. And then it'll be years of 10 where we're going to have 3 or 4 Purim Meshulashim, those are also lots of fun. But they're not quite as fun as Purim hitting Shabbos night like it is this year. This year is going to be particularly good. But you're going to have to find a Hasidic host for Shabbos dinner if you're expecting anything of what I'm describing. Because it just does not exist outside of those circles. And even in some Hasidic circles, it doesn't exist. So you got to find out who's partying Friday night and make sure you're a guest at that house. Then again, you can just crash a lot of people's houses. My house, I asked respectfully to everyone if you're going to crash our Purim party Shabbos night, it should be after you've eaten somewhere. Because I have all the people who've been crashing throughout the day, seeing the table suddenly get set up for Shabbos dinner, and they're just like, perfect. Yeah. This is great. And so those are kind of my Shabbos guests automatically. So I can't have like 100 people show up in the middle of the meal. At the beginning of the meal. So anyone who's around, I imagine, will probably be sticking around. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about it. So we got a lot of joy coming, but joy comes in 2 ways on Purim, and it's pretty rough to deal with this because it's there's a conflict with the joy. And the joy conflict is as follows. The real deep aspect of this time of year is that everything's one and everything comes from the one. God is one, everything comes from the one. And that's the real deep aspect of Purim, that everything's one and everything comes from the one. Well, that's pretty deep stuff. That's Kabbalistic, meaning that means that you don't even exist. That means if you're standing in front of a lake, you and that lake are one. Yeah, you're like literally saying to yourself, I'm a lake. Yeah, you are the lake, and so that lack of distinction, and notice wine does that to you. Why are you not allowed to drive drunk? Is because you don't have the distinctions that normal drivers make, and so you just won't distinguish things properly. So and don't forget the whole sin where we get the word Haman from. The first time Hey Mem Nun shows up in the Torah is when God asks Adam and Eve, Hamin ha'etz, Hamin ha'etz, did you eat from that tree that you were forbidden to eat from? Which tree? The tree of distinction between good and evil, meaning distinctions. You ate from the distinction tree. Not allowed to eat from the distinction tree. And the snake made us eat from the distinction tree, where things aren't one. Did you eat from that tree where that turns things into two? Did you eat from the multiplicity tree, where things are distinct from one another? So on the one hand, Purim's very deep. Now, who could explain to me, who could raise their hand and explain why realizing everything's really one? Just like the Havdalah candle burns, it's multi-wicked, but it burns into one. So could someone raise their hand and tell me why everything really deep down is one, why that brings joy? Why does that bring joy? Yeah, in the back.
Shot in the dark, is it because it puts us all on the same level in a sense?
Nice, puts us all on the same level. Excellent. Okay, we're all equalized by that. It's a great equalizer. Yeah?
There's no bad.
No what?
There's no bad.
Okay, then there's no bad. If everything's one, there's no bad. Yeah?
Is that good?
What's up? Why does that bring you joy? Maybe it doesn't bring you joy. It brings me tremendous joy. To know that everything's one.
All connected?
Connected, good. We're all connected, yeah.
You're like neshama and bodies on.
Okay, maybe my neshama, my body's one. I would have thought more the joy is that I'm one with God.
That's connected.
Meaning my soul and my neshama and God are the same, made of the same stuff. So
And also with everybody else.
how's it going? Welcome. Come on in. Couple seats here and there. So, whoa. No, you did good. You missed her by a couple centimeters. Like to say inches. So, anyway, oneness brings great joy. But it's maybe the reason you're all looking a little baffled right now on my request for you to explain it is because you wouldn't think of this as joy. When you think joy, you think like a different kind of joy, and that's the conflict. So let's talk about the other kind of joy. The other kind of joy is the joy of, it's kind of the joy of elation. It's the joy of jumping up and down. It's a joy of fun. It's much more frivolous. It's more funny. It's creating you're lighter, you're light, maybe even lightheaded. You're joking around. You're doing funny stuff. Your inhibitions have been like totally lifted. You're just feeling free. And so you're just gonna like parade down the street with the random people who are kind of these traveling minstrels who happen to be walking by. You're gonna dance with them down the block, for at least a block, if not more. And you understand there's that high, that kind of joy that's an external joy. And we're used to that. Like, for example, the joy you get at a bar mitzvah or a wedding or a birthday party where they've like really made it like that everyone should be as happy as possible. The whole point is to like slug off the weight of the world and just be in joy. And so that's a major kind of joy. And I would say that the majority of people who celebrate this month are going for that joy. I would say the majority are going for that joy. For example, in my neighborhood, I live in a neighborhood called Nachlaot. Nachlaot's kind of the Haight-Ashbury of Jerusalem, Lahavdil. It's the Venice Beach of Jerusalem, It's the lower east side, the village of Israel. It's kind of cannabis wafting in the air, and like all these hippie trippy dudes everywhere, and it's not that it doesn't have every kind of Jew. It has every kind of Jew, but it's also got a serious hippie element to it. I almost said ailment. It's got a serious element of hippies cruising around in Nachlaot. It's a pretty trippy place. A lot of fun to live there if you're single and just kind of living in Jerusalem, but not a great place to get married out of, because you notice anywhere people are too mingling, they generally, there's no weddings there. It's like Upper West Side. Like moving to the Upper West Side's like basically throwing in the towel, for getting married, because now you're part of that whole crew, and it's a big crew and very few weddings going on over there. So the same thing with Nachlaot. You got to be a little careful about Nachlaot on that level. But it's anyway. So here's this great place, but it becomes a street party from Purim night, which isn't even when the party's supposed to start. But Purim night, which is this year going to be Thursday night. From Thursday night, like literally after sundown, it's going to become this party that's in the streets, to the tune of thousands and thousands and thousands of people in this massive street party, with bands and speaker systems, and everyone's in costume, and there's a lot of secular people wearing costumes that are not very modest. So if the men want to go party over there, you've been warned, that it may not be the place for a Ben Torah to be wandering around. And anyway, but meanwhile, it's so that's like the light party, and also all the yeshiva boys, whether they're Hasidic or Litvish, play the light party. They're all doing the light thing. Everyone's going light, and they're excited about it. Like they can't wait to lighten up and just party down for an entire night next day. And usually young buchers have the stamina to party both at night and at day. But that's pretty intense. Are you guys able to party both?
And the day before.
Oh, right, they party the day before also. Yeah, and many of them party the day before, because the cities that are outside Jerusalem party the day before, and there's people. Can you do 3 days straight?
Thursday, Friday, Shabbos.
You can do it? You did it last year? You hung in there?
Yeah.
And even the day that you were supposed to party in Jerusalem, like you were
Through Friday night.
you were able to go like the best of them?
Yeah.
Full stamina.
70 and I can do it, he can do it.
That's amazing. I can't do it. My brother Sam can do it, and he's flying in this year.
Grandkids did a little bit.
Purims with my brother Sam in town are crazy, but he's hard to keep an eye on because he'll just, I mean, anything can just pull him out, and he just disappears down the river of people, and so like, you know, we flew him in one year, and we're like, part of us paying for your ticket is that you don't just go down the stream, you know, like you're supposed to be with us, and he's a really funny guy, and wherever he is, the party is, so. Anyway, but there's this whole other Kabbalistic supercalifragilisticexpialidocious deep joy that falls totally flat on most people. I mean, most people don't even know what that is about, and they just miss it. They miss it altogether, and I'm right in the middle of the two because when I go into that deeper joy, I don't express that outer joy so much. I don't do both. Like, I'm either in that deeper joy, and then when I'm in that deeper joy, I'm like so grounded and so collected, and my mind is like traveling into a million universes of the oneness, because the oneness is really the oneness in, you know, it's amazing when you start contemplating the oneness of God. I mean, it gets you to a really intense state, and there's no greater time to do that than Purim. Purim's like, that is the day of the oneness. Like, that's the big day of celebrating the oneness to the point where, like, we're supposed to get so drunk, it says. You know what the breathalyzer is? You know what a breathalyzer is? When people blow to see how much alcohol content is in their blood. Did you know there's a Purim breathalyzer? The Purim breathalyzer is if you still know the difference between the hero, Mordechai, and the villain, Haman. If you still know the difference, you haven't drunk enough yet. Now, you got to be pretty darn drunk to not know the difference between a hero and a villain. I mean, is it even possible to get that drunk? Can you get that drunk and can you get that? You may be able to get that drunk, but where are you going to be in a minute later? You're going to be throwing up. You know, instead of praying to the God of Almighty, you're going to be praying to the porcelain god in the bathroom. So there you are on your knees, bowing in front of the toilet. You know, which hardly sounds like Purim. Anyway, but we're supposed to get, that's the breathalyzer, like to no longer know the difference. But the funniest thing about those two words is you'll notice that there is no real difference between those two words. Like, for example, these are very different letters than each other. You got the word Baruch and the word Mordechai. Baruch, mixing up letters, but whatever. Baruch Mordechai. And you got, and then you got Arur Haman. Oh gosh, sorry, I'm a little mixed up here. In Essentials, I try to use block letters for people who weren't raised with the cursive, but I'm mixing them together. Maybe I'll fix the Dalet. Okay, and then you got the word Arur Haman. Okay, so these are two very different words. And they're, you know, it's just different letters going on over here. But when you add, and this means blessed is Mordechai. And this one means cursed is Haman. And we're told that we have to get so wasted on Purim that we don't even know the difference between these two. Between blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman. But what's cool about these two words is when you add them up, that's 2 plus 200 plus 6 plus 20 plus 40 plus 200 plus 4 plus 20 plus 10. You know what that equals? It equals 502. And it turns out that 1 plus 200 plus 6 plus 200 plus 5 plus 40 plus 50 is 502. They both equal 502. Which is very interesting because it's the drunk driving code of California. They even call it that. It's called getting a 502. Don't ask how I know that. I never got a 502. Never. But there was a time where they really wanted to give me one because I was doing donuts in Beverly Hills in a out-of-state license plate car. We were doing donuts, and it was getting psychedelic after a while. I mean, I was just starting to see lights and all kinds of trippy stuff as we were spinning around with me flooring it. You know, I was just flooring it, and just the car was just spinning. And after a while, I'm just noticing lights, until one of the guys in the car said, "I think it's the cops." So anyway, I finally slow it down until we stop. We're surrounded by squad cars. They were like, "You turned onto the street off Wilshire at 70 miles per hour. I mean, you did a 90-degree turn at 70 miles per hour, you know," which is true, but I raced cars. So I was just like drifted all the way around the turn, you know, like, you know, and then started doing donuts. I didn't realize the cops had been watching all this. Apparently, it was my second high-speed chase that I've been in, and I didn't know I was in the chase. I didn't know I was being chased. There was another story where I had a high-speed chase in Jerusalem, which amazing story. Remind me to tell you about that high-speed chase. Anyway, but when the cops got us out of the car, everyone had an open beer, including me. But I was just enjoying a beer on my way home. I wasn't drunk. But anyway, that's the drunk driving code, is 502. Now, I don't, by the way, I don't drive with alcohol open usually, ever. I mean, that was a unique time. I was a teenager. Yeah, it might spill. It was a unique time. Anyway, but they actually equal each other. The numbers actually equal each other, and it just gets us back to the oneness. And it's also very interesting in the story because apparently the Jews were pretty off at this time. When we were in Babylon, the Jews were pretty off at that point. We were like not doing great. I mean, how else did Haman rise to power if we were doing, we were doing bad? And that's how you get a Haman into power. It's kind of like Hitler rose to power in a time of 55% intermarriage in Germany. And California didn't even hit, LA didn't hit 55% intermarriage until like the 1990s. How is it in 1930s? Germany's at 55% intermarriage. Well, it's very indicative of this time that Hitler rose to power. That those kind of times are the times where people can rise. They can just slide through things. People of evil intent can slide through when the Jews are not vigilant. Okay? And for those of you who love to say, like, oh, how can you say that's how the Holocaust happened? That wasn't how the Holocaust happened. So don't go there. What I was saying was how Hitler rose to power. Hitler rose to power was not how the Holocaust happened after Hitler rose to power.
It's a bit related, though.
Quite related. Quite related, but once evil's in position, watch out. Watch out. And the same thing, Haman rose to power, and our sages clearly tell us that he rose to power exactly when the Jews had hit a low point. We had hit a low point, assimilation-style low point, and Haman rose to power. Didn't mean there's going to be a decree, but there was a decree. Because when evil rises to power, watch out, it brings up a whole other subject, which is, those are deeper subjects. But how people rise to power against us is usually when we're not vigilant as a tribe, when we're not keeping our tribal rights. Now, anyway, long story short here is that Haman he decreed a genocide, and that genocide caused the Jews to unite, very important, and to repent, very important, and to pray, very important. Because what is prayer? Prayer is connection. Like you're calling out to somebody. You're calling out to God. And so Haman seems, even though he's the villain in the story, he seems to be like doing a much better job than the Jews are. Meaning, I don't know who the Jewish leadership of the time was, but they were doing a pretty lousy job compared to Haman. The Jewish leaders didn't unite everybody. The Jewish leaders didn't get the Jews doing teshuvah. The Jewish leaders didn't get the Jews in prayer. It was Haman who did that. Now, who created the whole genocide? Whose problem was why did we get a genocide? Because of Mordechai. Mordechai's not very diplomatic, man. Like every leader in the Jewish world knows how to bow down to foreign powers. You look at Jewish leaders today. Like, you have to, like, go like that. I mean, you're lucky you don't have to kiss the Pope's shoes when you're a Jewish leader. You know, there's being a Jewish leader, like a recognized Jewish leader, means tremendous the word just disappeared out of my mouth. It begins with C-O-N, but I don't remember what it was. But you have to, we'll go with C-O-M instead, compromise. You have to compromise a lot when you're dealing with foreign powers and you're dealing with powerful people, and Jews are always hanging in the balance of whatever country we live in. And so you find yourself being overly gracious towards people who, have power, and we're a bit vulnerable to those countries, and I don't think any of us would accept a Jewish leader who wouldn't. Would any of us? Would we accept a Jewish leader upon us who can't bow down, like he said, like Jacob bowed down to Esau when he was coming back to the land of Israel in Parshas Vayishlach? So
why though?
Why what?
I mean, I'm not saying that.
Oh, leave it to Yehuda to say, like, why bow down? I'm with you, brother. I ain't bowing down to nobody. But we're not leading, you and I. So, anyway.
We're not supposed to apologize for being Jewish. Now,
Yeah.
I understand out of respect. There is a whole thing. I once did karate. They said you're supposed to bow to the dojo or the karate
Sensei.
Sensei. And I was told, you can kind of like tilt your head, but like don't bow down too far.
Yeah, don't bow down too far.
Especially if he's got like a cross.
Jews shouldn't bow down too far.
So, out of respect, I can understand, but like, we shouldn't. I'm not saying we're like the best in the world. I'm not trying to brag about being Jewish, but we should be proud of who we are and not give in to the other nations and make them think that, oh, you're bowing down to us because we're weaker. We're a weaker nation than the rest of the nation.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But what we're ultimately discussing is the tightrope called diplomacy. When you're a leader of the Jews, you're dealing with diplomacy issues, and you can be the holiest guy in the world with the highest standards in the world, but when you got your people, hanging in the balance of foreign leaders, diplomacy is going to be important. But Mordechai, was he very diplomatic? Very not diplomatic. Now, again, he's a prophet. I mean, we're talking about prophets. Esther was a prophet. Mordechai was a prophet. So obviously, when Mordechai says, I'm not bowing down to greet this Haman villain, he knows trouble's coming. Like, he's a prophet. He knows, like, he's going to be creating big issues here. And that's exactly what happened. But nevertheless, the genocide came from Mordechai's lack of diplomacy, and the savior, Haman, saving the day. Sorry, Haman decreeing the genocide. See, I'm already that drunk. I'm calling Haman the savior. Haman's the one who got the Jews to unite. Anyway, the bottom line is there's deep joy, and there's frivolous external joy. Can we do both? Can you do both? Yeah.
Why is Purim the day of oneness? Like, why is that? Why specifically?
Good question. Anyone else have that question?
What's your question?
Why is Purim the day of oneness? Purim's the day of oneness.
What do you mean oneness?
So I already explained it there, but I'll explain it a little further. It's the day of oneness because you'll notice that in the Purim story, we have God missing from God's name is not written in the whole story. And what does the word Megillah mean? Scroll, and Esther means, Esther. But it also means, Megillah means to reveal, and the word Esther means to, need a seat? There's a seat right here. The word Megillah means to reveal, and the word Esther means the hidden. So when you put Megillah and Esther together, what do you get? Revelation of the hidden. Revelation of the hidden. Well, what's the hidden? What's the hidden when you read the story? What's hidden? God's hidden. And then you have this whole story where everything seems totally disconnected, all kinds of coincidences happening the whole time. It's like a real doubt that God's involved at all in this story. It really looks dark at times, and it's like, and that doubt, by the way, is very important when we doubt God. That's like real big time for the villains to rise. And in fact, the numerical value, the villains against us are called Amalek, which is spelled like this. And it's the same numerical value as the word Safek. Okay, so Amalek is the family of the villains. And in fact, Haman's the direct descendant of the king of Amalek, one of the Canaanite nations. And the word Safek means doubt. Doubt. Now, where does doubt come from? What is doubt connected to? Doubt's connected to distinctions. Meaning, the more you see the distinctions of this world, the more you doubt the oneness of God in all of it. And so doubt and distinctions, and Amalek's main thing is that like nothing's connected. Like everything's random. Like everything, it's just coincidence. It's like Amalek's like a millennial liberal university campus person, or any media anchor at CNN. Okay, that is Amalek ultimately, and which is kind of interesting because it's kind of a hippie thing, like no distinctions, we're all the same, make love not war, and I'm a lake, you stand at the lake, you're like, me and this lake are one. I'm a lake, yeah, I'm a lake. It's all one.
That's just because they can't face the truth and
no distinctions whatsoever.
reality.
So the word doubt and Amalek are the same because they're all about no distinctions, and when you have no distinctions, so then you want to hear? It's really kind of interesting because distinctions, the multiplicity of our world, makes everything look doubtful. Like why would anyone in this room doubt God? We'd all doubt God because we look around the room, we don't see him. We understand great details of science, so we don't necessarily need God to answer any of those questions because science has things pretty wired. So it's interesting, the distinctions of the world create doubt, and yet the people who are from the Amalek world, they hate distinctions. They don't like our chosenness. They don't like men or women, like separation or distinction. They don't like the whole binary gender thing. They don't like, they just think we're all one. Like they want to sing "We Are the World" with radical Islamists. They just want to get in a giant choir of "We Are the World" with these guys. When really they're the ultimate enemies. I mean, the radical Islamists are not going to be very friendly to millennials if they had right now they got them on their side, so they're very friendly to millennials. But put a millennial into Saudi Arabia or into Iran or Iraq, they'll last about an hour over there. Anyway, but it is kind of interesting because when you get rid of all the distinctions, when you just want to say we're all the same and everything like that, that's very Amalek. When you get into the world of distinctions, you get a lot of doubt. Like the world of multiplicity can create doubt. Hey, is it after 4?
Oh my gosh, it's 4:13.
Shalom, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Rabbi Glaser.